The first morning of 1st December carries a kind of quiet power moment where the body and mind are both listening, both waiting for your first decision. And when that decision is sugary food, something sweet just to start easy, you are not beginning the month gently, you are beginning it with a storm that will come for you later. The body reacts immediately. Sugar rushes into the bloodstream, giving you a false sense of energy, a brightness that doesn't come from strength, but from stimulation. And anything that depends on stimulation collapses the moment the effect fades. This is why the morning of 1st December asks you to make a more respectful choice. Your first meal is not just nutrition, it is instruction. It teaches your body what kind of fuel to expect, teaches your mind whether you will chase comfort or pursue clarity. When sugar enters your morning system, especially on a day as symbolically clean and fresh as 1st December, it sets the rhythm for the entire month. Fast, unstable, reactive. Sugar spikes your glucose, forces your pancreas to produce insulin quickly, and after that false energy peak, the crash hits, fatigue, irritability, lack of motivation. That crash is not just biological, it becomes psychological. You begin the month feeling like your energy is unpredictable, like your focus is slipping through your fingers, like your discipline is already too weak to carry you forward. This is why avoiding sugary foods on 1st December is more than a diet choice. It is a declaration. You are telling yourself that your month will not be ruled by impulses, cravings, or the easy path. You are teaching your body that energy must come from stable foundations, clean foods, steady glucose, calm digestion. The body loves stability. It functions best when it doesn't have to fight the consequences of what you give it. Sugar, especially in the morning, forces the body into a battle that should never have been there to begin with. Think of 1st December as the opening door into a new internal season. If you step through that door carrying sugary foods, you walk into the month with an immediate weight. The body becomes inflamed, the brain foggy, the heart rate unstable. Medical science is clear. High sugar intake affects the dopamine system, the prefrontal cortex, the decision-making centers. You may start the morning thinking you're simply enjoying something sweet, but you are actually weakening your mental clarity for hours. And when the first day of a month begins with weakness, the rest of the month tends to follow the same pattern. But when you choose differently, when you avoid sugar on 1st December, you create a different internal command. You choose slow energy, real energy. You support your metabolism instead of overwhelming it. You let your hormones stay balanced. Your blood sugar remains steady. Your nervous system stay calm. The clarity that comes from this is not dramatic. It doesn't feel like fireworks. It feels like steadiness. And steadiness is what builds powerful months and powerful lives. The teachings behind this are simple. The first choice of a new month shapes the direction of your next choices. If you start with discipline on 1st December, the discipline becomes easier on the 2nd, the 3rd, the 10th. You build momentum. You build trust with yourself. Every time you avoid the sugary option, you are not denying pleasure, you are strengthening your inner architecture. You are proving that you can withstand the pull of comfort in exchange for the reward of clarity. Your body is not meant to survive on spikes and crashes. It is meant to move with rhythm, and this rhythm begins with the first decision you make when the month wakes up. When the day begins, your cells are sensitive, your metabolism is quiet, and your digestion is still preparing for work. Giving sugar to a system that is still waking is like pouring hot oil on a cold pan. It reacts, jumps, burns, and leaves a mess behind. This is how so many people start their months unintentionally tired by choosing the very fuel that drains them. There is a deeper wisdom in avoiding sugar today. It's not about restriction, it's about respect. Respect for your body, respect for the new month, respect for the version of yourself you're trying to become. Growth does not begin with complicated rituals. It begins with one simple decision that aligns with your future rather than your cravings. That decision on 1st December is to break the chain of old habits and choose something cleaner, sharper, more honest. When you refuse sugary foods this morning, you send a signal inward. I am starting December with awareness. And awareness is the beginning of personal power. Awareness prevents emotional eating, prevents mindless choices, prevents the slow decay of discipline. You rise above that unconscious pattern of soothing yourself with something sweet. You rise into intentional living. December is a heavy month for many emotionally, mentally, spiritually. This is why the first morning matters. The body and mind need stability, and stability starts with what you feed them. Sugar steals that stability. A clean, intentional meal provides it. Your energy for the entire month depends on this first declaration. Avoid the sugar, not because someone told you to, but because you feel the difference it makes. Begin the month with clarity, not chaos. Begin with strength, not stimulation. Begin with self-respect, not self-sabotage. On 1st December, your first decision is your first victory. Sugary foods have a way of pretending to be your friend. On the morning of 1st December, they appear comforting, harmless, even rewarding, as if sweetness could somehow lift you into the new month with ease. But the truth is simple. Sugary foods create an energy you cannot depend on. They give you a peak, not a foundation. A burst, not a baseline. And beginning 1st December with something unstable is the fastest way to lose the strength you need for the weeks ahead. When sugar enters your body first thing in the morning, the effect is immediate. Your blood glucose shoots upward. Your pancreas is forced into action, releasing insulin quickly to push that sugar out of the bloodstream. For a short while, you feel high, bright, quick, almost excited. But this feeling is not real energy. It is borrowed energy. It comes from a chemical spike, not from inner power. And whatever is borrowed must be paid back. This is why, after the sweetness fades, the crash arrives. Suddenly, you feel heavy, slow, unfocused. Your mind becomes foggy, your motivation weaker, your patience thinner. This is the hidden cost of sugary food on the morning of 1st December. The crash is not an accident. It is biology. When insulin pushes your blood sugar down too quickly, it often drops below normal levels. Low blood sugar triggers hunger, irritability, and cravings. You start looking for more sugar just to feel stable again. And this becomes the trap. You eat sugar to feel good, but the sugar is the very reason you feel weak. On 1st December, when you need clarity, strength, direction, this loop becomes the enemy of your progress. Sugary foods don't just shake your energy, they disturb your decision-making. Medical studies show that high sugar intake affects dopamine, the reward chemical in the brain. It pulls your attention away from discipline and toward pleasure. It makes you want quick comfort rather than long-term stability. The first morning of the month should be a moment of intentional focus, but sugar pulls you into impulse. Instead of leading the month, you begin reacting to cravings. Instead of clarity, you get chaos. This is why the morning of 1st December becomes a test of self-respect. Will you choose something that gives you a moment of sweetness, but hours of weakness? Or will you choose something that supports your body, your mind, and your direction? The choice is small, but the impact is large. When your energy crashes early in the day, your entire schedule shifts. Tasks feel heavier. Motivation becomes harder. Even your emotions become unstable. Sugar takes more from you than it gives. And the danger is not only physical, it is internal. A sugar crash on the first morning of the month teaches your mind that your energy is unreliable. It teaches you that you cannot trust your own state. You begin December feeling like you're already behind, already tired, already fighting yourself. That emotional momentum can shape the next 30 days. This is why avoiding sugary foods today is not just about health. It is about direction. It is about the path you want this month to take. When you refuse sugar on 1st December, you choose a different kind of energy, one that comes from balance, from nourishment, from stability. Your blood sugar stays steady. Your hormones stay calm. Your mind remains clear. The body responds to this stability with gratitude. You can feel it in your breathing, your focus, your ability to stay present. Real energy doesn't rush. It grows slowly, steadily, confidently. It stays with you. There is wisdom in choosing stability over stimulation. Sugary foods make you dependent. They ask your body to recover from something it should never have been forced to handle. They make your mind chase highs instead of building strength. But when you choose clean fuel on the first morning of December, you are building power that belongs to you, power that cannot be taken away by a crash. This is the beginning of self-growth. Noticing what weakens you and choosing what strengthens you instead. The teachings are simple. Your energy is your responsibility. The food you choose becomes the state you live in. Sugary foods distort your natural rhythm, make you reactive, and steal your clarity. And clarity is the very thing you need most when a new month begins. Imagine walking into December with steady energy, not rushing, not crashing. Imagine beginning the month with a mind that is calm, focused, ready. That possibility begins with this one choice. Do not let sugar lead your morning. Do not let a moment of sweetness dictate the quality of your entire day. Do not let a habit steal the strength you need to build your month. 1st December is not just a date, it is an opening. And you must step into it awake, balanced, and steady. Sugary foods cannot give you that. They can only give you a moment that collapses under its own weight. So let this morning be different. Let it be clean, intentional, disciplined. When you protect your energy, you protect your direction. And when you begin 1st December with that protection, the entire month feels different. You move with purpose. You think with clarity. You act with strength. Your first choice becomes your first victory. Discipline on the morning of 1st December is not just a moment of good intention. It is the beginning of a mindset that can carry you through the entire month. When you refuse sugary foods on this first morning, you are not denying yourself pleasure. You are training your inner world. You are choosing strength over impulse, clarity over confusion, long-term power over short-term sweetness. This single act becomes a message to your body and mind. I am in control. And once that message is sent, something inside you shifts. Sugary foods on the morning of 1st December play a dangerous game. They pull you with comfort, but punish you with weakness. The quick energy they promise is nothing but an illusion. Medical science makes this truth undeniable. Sugar in the morning destabilizes blood glucose, heightens inflammation, manipulates dopamine, and interrupts the brain's natural stability. When your glucose rises sharply and falls just as fast, your discipline falls with it. You feel tired, distracted, and unfocused, not because you lack motivation, but because your body is fighting the consequences of what you ate. This is why discipline matters so deeply today. When you choose to avoid sugar on 1st December, you choose to protect your energy from being manipulated. You choose consistency. You choose awareness. Discipline is not a punishment. It is a shield. And this shield allows you to begin December with clarity instead of chaos. The first decision of the morning shapes your internal posture. If you choose sugary foods, you tell yourself that comfort comes first. You tell yourself that cravings are stronger than your intentions. And once that belief settles in, the rest of your day becomes harder because you have already weakened the psychological muscle that carries discipline. But when you stand firm, when you refuse the quick sweetness that steals your stability, you strengthen that muscle. You teach your mind how to hold itself tall. Discipline is like lighting a torch inside yourself. It begins small, but once it's lit, it spreads. When you start 1st December with discipline, the mind becomes sharper. You make better choices because you prove to yourself that you can. You feel more control over your habits because you showed your body who is leading. This is how momentum is created, not through grand gestures, but through one small action repeated with awareness. The body responds to discipline in powerful ways. When you avoid sugar, your insulin stays calm, your nervous system stays steady, your hormones stay balanced. Your focus becomes reliable. Your emotions become smoother. Your energy becomes durable. You have given your body stability, and stability becomes strength. Discipline is not just mental, it is biological. It is the act of giving your body what supports it instead of what shocks it. And the timing matters. 1st December is the symbolic gateway into the final month of the year. It carries weight. It carries meaning. Whatever you choose today becomes the mother of your next choices. If you begin with discipline, you build a structure that can hold you. If you begin with sugar, you build a structure that collapses. This day is a blueprint, and the blueprint must be made with intention. Sugary foods are not just harmful because of the physical crash. They weaken your connection to your own direction. They make you reactive. They make you dependent on external stimulation. They make your energy unpredictable, and unpredictability destroys discipline. But when you choose steadiness today, when you choose food that supports your body instead of disturbing it, your discipline becomes smoother. You become harder to shake. You become stronger than the impulses that once controlled you. Self-growth begins with moments like this. People think growth comes from breakthroughs, from inspiration, from big decisions. But real growth comes from the quiet discipline of choosing what strengthens you instead of what weakens you. It comes from choosing stability over sweetness. It comes from choosing to protect your energy even when your cravings pull you elsewhere. 1st December becomes a lesson. When you master the first decision, the rest of the day becomes easier. There is something dramatic and powerful about refusing sugar today. It is a small rebellion against your old habits. It is a refusal to let chemical spikes dictate your mood and your focus. It is a declaration that this month will not be led by cravings but by intention. This first moment of discipline becomes the anchor that holds you steady against the storms of distraction that December often brings. Discipline is not about restriction. It is about remembering who you want to be. And sugary foods, especially on a morning like this, pull you away from that identity. They make you weaker when you need to be stronger. They make you tired when you need to be alert. They steal clarity when you need direction. Discipline protects you from losing yourself before the month has even begun. When you choose discipline today, you choose a different version of yourself. You choose a December built on strength, not on sugar crashes. You choose a mind that can focus, a body that can carry you, a day that unfolds with intention instead of impulsiveness. And once you choose that, once you feel that difference inside you, discipline stops feeling like effort. It becomes natural. It becomes familiar. It becomes who you are. On the morning of 1st December, discipline is the strongest form of self-respect. Avoid the sugary foods. Protect your energy. Begin the month with power instead of weakness. The path of the entire month begins with this single act of strength. Awareness is the doorway through which real change enters your life. And on the morning of 1st December, that doorway stands wide open. When you pay attention to your habits, especially something as seemingly small as reaching for sugary foods, you begin to see yourself with honesty. You begin to understand the patterns that weaken you and the choices that strengthen you. Awareness is not passive, it is the beginning of power. And on this first morning, that power is needed more than ever. Sugary foods on 1st December are not just unhealthy, they are symbolic. They represent the unconscious choices you make without thinking, the automatic behaviors that drag you back into old cycles. Most people don't eat sugar because they are hungry. They eat it because the mind is trained to seek comfort, to seek stimulation, to seek something quick. And the first morning of a new month exposes this habit clearly. You can see yourself reaching for sweetness, not because your body needs it, but because your mind has been conditioned to crave it. Awareness breaks that conditioning. When you stop for a moment and truly look at why your hand moves toward sugary foods on this morning, you begin to see the truth beneath it. The truth that you are not choosing sugar, the sugar is choosing you. The truth that you are not directing your energy, your cravings are. And this realization, simple as it is, can shift the course of your entire month. 1st December is a clean page. If you turn to sugar unconsciously, that page fills with the same old handwriting. But if you watch yourself carefully, if you notice the impulse, as it rises, you create a space between the craving and the action. In that space, your power begins. That space is where your growth lives. Medical science supports this deeply. Cravings for sugary foods are often triggered not by genuine hunger, but by dopamine imbalance, unstable glucose patterns, and conditioned neural pathways. When you act automatically, you reinforce those pathways. But when you observe the impulse without acting on it, you weaken it. You give your brain time to recalibrate, to restore balance, to learn that craving does not equal command. This is how awareness becomes transformation. On the morning of 1st December, awareness teaches you to question your automatic behaviors. You look at the sugary food, and instead of grabbing it, you ask yourself not verbally, but internally, what is this choice going to create inside me today? What will this do to my energy, my clarity, my discipline? Science tells you the answer. Sugar will spike your glucose, force your insulin to overwork, trigger inflammation, and drain your focus within hours. But awareness is what makes that knowledge real. When you can feel the truth of it in your body, you become more responsible for your own choices. This is the beginning of self-growth, not fighting yourself, but understanding yourself. When you truly see your habits, you no longer blame others, the environment, or stress for your choices. You take ownership. You realize that the path you walk is shaped by the decisions you make every morning. And 1st December teaches you that if you master this morning, you can master many mornings after. Sugary foods take advantage of people who are asleep within themselves. They offer pleasure that hides the consequence, but awareness exposes the consequence immediately. You understand that the sweetness lasts minutes while the crash lasts hours. You understand that the momentary comfort destroys the long-term clarity you desperately need to begin the month strong. You understand that every time you reach for sugar without awareness, you weaken your ability to stay present, and presence is everything. Presence is the state where discipline becomes natural. When you are present, you do not fall into old habits. You choose with intention. You act with clarity. You understand that 1st December is not simply a date, but an opportunity to redesign the internal environment you live in. Awareness of your habits builds inner strength because it gives you control. When you see yourself clearly, you can no longer lie to yourself about why you feel tired, unfocused, or unmotivated. You know sugar caused it, you know your choices caused it, and this honesty becomes fuel for change. This is why avoiding sugary foods on 1st December becomes a form of self-respect. You are choosing not to surrender your energy to an unconscious pattern. You are choosing to begin the month awake, not manipulated by cravings but guided by clarity. You are no longer acting from impulse. You are acting from intention. Awareness transforms the mundane into the meaningful. What looks like a simple decision, choosing not to eat sugar, becomes a declaration that you will not live the rest of the month on autopilot. You will not allow chemical spikes to dictate your mood. You will not let old habits write your new story. This morning becomes dramatic not because of what you eat, but because of what you awaken inside yourself. You awaken responsibility. You awaken control. You awaken the strength to see a habit and break it. This is the kind of awareness that follows you beyond the first day. It shapes the tone of the entire month. It turns 1st December into the foundation you build December upon. And when you live with awareness, your choices naturally improve. You feel the difference clean energy makes. You feel the clarity that comes from stable blood sugar. You feel the confidence that comes from saying no to a pattern that once controlled you. Awareness becomes freedom. And freedom is what makes self-growth possible. When you become aware of what weakens you, you stop choosing it. When you become aware of what strengthens you, you start building your life upon it. This is the lesson hidden inside the first morning of December. The moment you see yourself clearly, you begin to transform. The way you nourish your body on the morning of 1st December is a statement about how you intend to nourish your mind for the rest of the month. What you choose to eat is not just fuel. It becomes the quality of your thoughts, the steadiness of your emotions, the strength of your focus. Sugary foods, especially today, rob you of that connection. They create a split between body and mind, a moment of sweetness that leads to hours of imbalance. And if the first morning of December begins with imbalance, the whole month carries its echo. Sugary foods interfere with the natural harmony inside you. When you take them on an empty stomach, your blood glucose rises too quickly, forcing your pancreas into overdrive. Insulin surges, hormones shift, your nervous system becomes unstable. The result is not just physical, it becomes mental. Anxiety increases, irritability grows, focus weakens. This is why so many people start their day feeling scattered without even understanding why. The cause is often simple. The body is fighting to restore balance that sugar destroyed. On 1st December, this is even more significant. This morning carries symbolic weight. It is the beginning of a month that demands presence, clarity, and strength. Nourishing your body properly today is an act of preparation. Preparing your mind to think clearly, preparing your emotions to remain steady, preparing your entire being to step into the final month of the year with stability. Choosing sugary foods today weakens that preparation. It creates a noisy mind when you need silence. It creates chaos in the body when you need harmony. True energy does not come from sugar. True energy comes from balance. When your blood sugar stays stable, your mind remains calm. When your digestive system is not overwhelmed by sudden spikes, your thoughts become smooth. When your hormones remain regulated, you feel grounded. This is why nourishing your body mindfully on the first morning of December becomes a teaching. It shows you how deeply the physical and mental worlds are connected. People often underestimate how much their mental strength depends on their physical state. They try to push their mind into clarity while their body is inflamed, unstable, or exhausted by sugary foods. But The mind cannot operate peacefully in a body that is overloaded. When sugar destabilizes your internal system, your mental clarity becomes cloudy, mood swings arise, motivation fades. This is not weakness, it is biology. And understanding this biology is a form of wisdom, because once you understand it, you no longer blame yourself, you take responsibility. Nourishing your body with intention on 1st December is an act of self-growth. It is a reminder that caring for your physical health is not separate from building your mental strength. They are two sides of the same flame. When you choose foods that support your body, foods that provide steady energy, vitamins, minerals, clean fuel, you give your mind a foundation on which it can rise. You create an internal environment where focus becomes natural, not forced, where calmness becomes normal, not something you chase. Sugary foods do the opposite. They make your mind restless. They create mental fog, reduce cognitive function, and increase inflammation, which is linked directly to mood disorders and low motivation. On a morning as important as 1st December, beginning your day with something that disrupts your mental clarity is like trying to build a house on unstable ground. The structure will not stand, but when you nourish yourself properly, everything you build today stands stronger. There is something dramatic and powerful about choosing nourishment over sweetness on this morning. It shows that you are willing to give up temporary pleasure to create long-term strength. It shows that you value clarity more than comfort. It shows that you understand the connection between your body and your purpose. This is not just a choice. It is a declaration that your health matters, your energy matters, your direction matters. Nourishing your body becomes a teaching of self-respect. It tells your mind, I am preparing you for clarity. It tells your emotions, I will not allow sugar to dictate your stability. It tells your spirit, I choose strength over weakness. And this teaches you something deeper. Your well-being is something you can shape, not by force, but by awareness, not by perfection, but by choosing what supports you. On 1st December, this matters more than usual, because the beginning of the month sets your rhythm. When you nourish your body mindfully, your mind becomes open. You can see your goals clearly. You can sense your direction. You can act with precision instead of hesitation. Your decisions become intentional rather than reactive. This is how self-health becomes self-growth, through the consistency of small choices made with awareness. When your body is nourished, your mind becomes your ally. It becomes sharper, calmer, more present. You feel more in control of your emotions. You understand your own thoughts better. You move with purpose. This is the state you want to carry into December. This is the energy that allows you to finish the year strong instead of stumbling through it. And it begins with refusing sugary foods this morning. Because when you refuse what weakens you, you create space for what strengthens you. You create clarity where there was fog. You create stability where there was chaos. You create harmony between body and mind, allowing both to rise together. Nourishing your body today is not just about health. It is about alignment. It is about purpose. It is about honoring the beginning of the month by giving your system the fuel it needs to move with strength. When you nourish your body, you nourish your mind. And when both are nourished, the entire month unfolds differently. On this 1st of December, think of your life as standing at a doorway. Behind you is the version of yourself that kept repeating the same patterns, especially the small habits that quietly drain your energy, like the sugary foods you reached for when you wanted comfort, distraction, or a quick burst of fake strength. But ahead of you is the version of yourself that chooses truth over temper, pleasure, healing over craving, and long-term power over momentary sweetness. This moment is asking you to choose which direction you will walk. Sugar is strange. It feels like a friend when you're tired or emotionally drained, but the moment it enters your system, your body begins fighting a battle you don't even feel. Your blood sugar spikes, your insulin rushes out, and your internal balance, something nature worked so hard to create, gets shaken. It gives you pleasure for a moment, but steals your stability for hours. And as long as this pattern continues, your mind also learns instability. The body and the mind always train each other. If your body is riding waves of highs and crashes, your mind eventually mirrors the same rise and fall in motivation, focus, discipline, and emotional clarity. And that is why this 1st of December matters. A month doesn't change your life, but a decision on a particular day can. today is a symbolic reset. Today is the day you look at sugary food not as a guilty pleasure, but as a small thief that has been robbing your future strength one bite at a time. Not because sugar is evil, but because you consumed it without awareness, without discipline, without respect for how your body responds. Your body is a mirror of the choices you make when nobody is watching. Every spoon of sugar, every processed snack, every sweet drink seems harmless, but the body never forgets. It stores every chemical message, every hormonal surge, every inflammatory response. Over time, the brain slows, the gut weakens, the immune system dulls. But even more importantly, your willpower shrinks. This is the part people ignore. Every time you give in to a craving, even a small one, the mind learns surrender. That is the beginning of losing your inner strength. And losing strength is never dramatic. It is quiet. It is invisible. It shows up slowly. You get irritated more easily. You feel tired at times you should feel awake. You lose clarity in decisions. Your sleep becomes restless. Your motivation fades in the middle of the day. Your discipline slips without you noticing. Then you say, I don't know why my life feels stuck. But your life wasn't stuck. Your energy was. And your energy was being controlled by what you put into your body. On this 1st of December, let this truth land in your chest. If you want your life to rise, your energy must rise first. And to raise your energy, you must stop feeding the very things that lower it. Sugary food is not just a taste, it is a chain. When you break the chain, you break the old version of yourself. Growth always begins with subtraction before addition. People try to add new habits, meditation, exercise, journaling, while still holding on to the old habits that destroy the foundation. It is like trying to build a temple on soft sand. Before building strength, you need stability. Before discipline, you need clarity. Before clarity, you need balance inside the body. And balance begins with what you eat. Your gut is often called the second brain, but in reality, it is the first. It controls your mood, your hormones, your calmness, your thinking speed, your resilience. Every time you consume sugar, you are not just feeding your taste buds. You are disrupting your internal command center. On 1st December, remind yourself every powerful version of you begins with what you allow into your body. You don't need to become extreme. You don't need to cut everything instantly. What you need is awareness and honesty. Ask yourself, why do I reach for sugar? Is it hunger or is it emotion? Is it boredom, stress, habit? Most sugary cravings are not physical, they are emotional bandages. But a bandage cannot heal the wound underneath, it only covers it. This is the month where you stop covering your wounds and start healing them. On this 1st December, choose the path where you don't betray yourself for temporary pleasure. Choose the path where your body becomes your ally, not your obstacle. The moment you stop feeding your cravings stop feeding on you. The first 3 days will feel difficult, because your body is unlearning addiction. But 4 days later, the fog lifts. 7 days later, your mind sharpens. 2 weeks later, your energy rises in a way you thought you lost years ago. And after 1 month, you will look back at this 1st of December as the day you took back your inner power. If you want strength, protect your energy. If you want discipline, master your cravings. If you want clarity, purify what you consume. If you want a new life, start with a new body. Let this day be the turning point where your choices stop weakening you and start transforming you. The sweetness you need is not from sugar, it is from the feeling of taking control of your own life again.